is up, everyone? This is Derek here from the Hookah Lounge, bringing you my very first review, which will be the MIG Brass Razor. Now, I'm going to start with it off of the hookah before I go into a smoking portion of the review, and I'm going to start with the least important part, and that would be the looks, which is the whole reason this product exists. It was a limited edition run made in brass, and brass is class. I love brass. That being said, it looks really good, but you're gonna have a hell of a time with maintenance of this thing. A hookah that's brass needs to be cleaned and maintained just sitting there, let alone an HMD like this that's going to have coals sitting in it and touching tobacco and stuff like that. It's just gonna be a hell to clean. Still looks really nice though, I will say that. So I just want to get that out of the way. That's the main reason I bought it. That's the reason this product existed. I need to have a brass HMD in my collection. Moving on. The brass razor, as I understand it, is a little bit different than the standard stainless MIG razor. If you look on the bottom, you'll see it's got these ridges here. The stainless razor just has a straight ring, and from what I've heard, I do not have a brass MIG or a stainless MIG, but what I've heard is that the breaks in the ring on the bottom of the brass one allows for better airflow and a better smoking session than the stainless model. So get that out of the way. The first thing I want to talk about is the fact that it is brass and the weight of brass. This thing is heavy. If you're going to use one of these, you have to be very careful that your bowl is very sturdy and that it can, has a nice seal with that HMD. Because if you hit that hookah at all and it tilts or wobbles the least bit, just enough that this could take a bowl down. It could take a whole hookah down, depending on the size. It really is, a solid 5 or so pounds. I have a couple bowls here that I do use with it. Stone fit. Obviously, any kind of fit bowl is going to be a good fit for it. And then I also found that this large alpaca Apache that I have fits really well. Don't use a bowl with this that doesn't fit quite right. You're gonna have a hell of a time. The next thing also kind of deals with the weight. If you look here, this turns. And now I can probably do this better for you when I'm in a session, but it's kind of hard to show you and do it at the same time. When this starts to heat up, this does not want to turn. The vents don't really have the propensity to want to turn. You actually, because of the weight of the lid sitting down on the portion that actually turns, it kind of sticks to itself. So you actually have to kind of half lift up the lid to turn it. So that's definitely a negative on this. And again, it's not doing it now because I'm not using it, but when it heats up, it really does get to this point where you got to kind of lift it up like this. Also on those terms, this handle is shit. All right, the metal portion, so this is a metal handle that's then covered in some kind of plastic or silicone. It goes to right about here. And that's hot when this is smoking. So you can't just grab it here even though you're on the silicone. You will burn yourself, and I have burned myself. You have to grab it awkwardly on the very edge like this. And because it's brass, I'm not kidding, it's not easy to lift up. It wants to fall out of your hand, see? It's not easy to lift up, and the closer you get to that metal, the better chance you have of burning yourself. I have burnt myself a few times, and I haven't had this that long. So you see a lot of the Europeans putting the corks on them. I understand why they do that now. I mean, I knew why they did it before, but without having one, I couldn't understand what the purpose really was. Why was it necessary if it already has a handle? That's why. That's poor design. I have a couple of other HMDs here. This is the Generation 1 Phoenix and a Cloud Lotus Generation 1 as well. I will be comparing the brass razor to both of these in the smoking portion of this review. I wanted to do 2 portions because it was hard to show you some of the things I showed you on this brass MIG razor while I was smoking. So this is the first part of the review, and we'll move on to the second part here in a minute. Alright guys, it has been exactly 6 minutes since I put 3 cubes on the razor, and we're basically up to temperature now. You can see cloud output's pretty good already. Smoking a mix of Trifecta Bohemian Mix and a little bit of Heaven Leaf Rose. Just really like rose flavor, so nothing wrong with another spice in this mix. See, cloud output's pretty good now. Like I said, I'm using 3 cubes. They are what am I using? Prestige. Now I know those aren't really the right cubes to be using for this, but that's all I got. And you want to use cubes. You're only going to fit 3 with the lid on in this, so I know big deal is if you can fit 4, but you're not going to be able to. So now I'm going to attempt to take the lid off and not burn myself. So here we go. Alright, you can see I have 3 cubes in there. You're not going to fit more with the lid on. And be careful putting that lid on the tray. I wasn't being careful earlier and I nearly knocked the tray off. I take the lid off as soon as this gets up to temperature. The brass heats up, I guess about the same amount of time as like my Lotus or my Phoenix, but the brass seems to retain heat a lot better. So I'll usually just run through, I'll light 4 coals, put 3 in, and kind of use that, and then put the 4th one on when I need it, and that lasts a good hour and a half, 2 hours with this thing. The heat retention of the brass is the best part about this HMD. I do think it's different. I do think it's better as far as that's concerned than other ones. That being said, you know, we're looking at a really expensive HMD. I think it went for $80 when it was available. So it's not cheap. In the end, it doesn't really do a better overall job than any of your other HMDs would do. And, you know, for someone like me, I had to have a brass HMD in my collection. I wouldn't recommend this HMD over any other HMD on the market, though. You know, I got the Lotus and the Phoenix. I would recommend both of them over this. I'd recommend some that I haven't even had before, like the Ignis and a couple of others that are out there, but I can't remember their names right now. The brass is good. It's just not practical for HMD. So that's basically my main opinion on it. I had to have it. I love it. Brass retains heat really well. You don't need this over any other HMD on the market, and that's basically the gist of this review. See, it hits really well though. That's basically it for this review, guys. Thanks for tuning in. This is my very first review. I hope to be doing some more on the THL channel. So tune in. We're going to be putting a lot of great content on the channel. So stay posted. Thanks for watching.